Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tanisha Tyagi from Eastern Publishing, and it's a privilege to welcome you to the third edition of our Grand Mathematics Summit. Today, we are diving into the game-changing world of differentiated instruction. Our speaker, Ms. Shilpi Gupta, is an esteemed academician with over 23 years of experience in teaching, academic leadership, and educational technology. She has successfully managed over 35,000 students and trained over 4,000 teachers while developing systems to bridge learning gaps. A pioneer in online teacher training and student learning systems, Ms. Gupta is a progressive educator who champions continuous improvement for teachers and students, ensuring personalized learning. Her vision for innovation in education led to co-build a platform dedicated to transforming education through creative solutions. So participants, we have a special treat for you tomorrow after our last session, that is after our final session, starting at 4 p.m. We'll host a quiz and the winners will walk away with Amazon vouchers worth up to rupees 50,000. So stay tuned for all the sessions as your quiz will be based on each and every session. So before we get started, here are a few important housekeeping notes. All participants will remain on mute throughout the session. Please have a pen and paper ready to capture key insights. The chat box will be enabled during the Q&A round and as requested by the speaker. To receive your e-certificate, please complete the feedback form emailed to you after the final session, that is after tomorrow. Don't miss out the quiz tomorrow. We'll share the quiz link at the end of the final session. Now, without further delay, let's welcome Ms. Shilpi Gupta to share her invaluable insights. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tanisha, for introducing me. All right, so let me start today's session that is on differentiated learning, and it is one of the major. Let me put in the presentation mode. All right, yeah. Is my screen visible, Tanisha?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you so much for confirming. A very good afternoon to all the participants over here who have joined on a Thursday afternoon, lunchtime. And I'm sure this session is going to be enriching you in the differentiated instructions when it comes to maths teaching specifically. And today's session, we are also going to align it with NCF because as the S-Chan is right now, the summit is focusing on how differentiated learning is imbibed in NCF. That will be the key focus throughout the session. So before we start, let me take you that how your journey will be in today's session. So we will have an initiation where we will have the understanding of what is differentiation exactly in mathematics, and we will explore some practical strategies that we can align with NCF, and also towards the end we will create a plan which we can implement in the classrooms immediately after the session so that there can be a takeaway for you. All right, to start with, I today was in a very nice mood and I thought, let me go shopping for you all. And I picked up a few t-shirts, but unfortunately, all the t-shirts that I have got today for you all, they are in size L. Now, what do? And when I am now going to distribute this, it will fit you something like this. I would request you all to please write in the comment box, how would you feel if you get a t-shirt of this size? I'm waiting for your responses in the chat box. Let's make it more interactive. The more energy you are going to pour in, the more output it will come, right?
Participants, chat box is open. You can post your questions, post your answers there.
All right. So too tight in size L. Then someone has written uncomfortable. Very nice. Someone said, okay, that fits them perfect. That's absolutely a bang on answer because it's double XL is too tight. Okay, so maybe it is very tight. Somebody is feeling uneasy. Somebody is feeling uncomfortable. Not very perfect for me. Yes, so there might be different. Everyone has a different feeling or different when you're wearing these t-shirts, right? Now let's consider that if the same thing happens with a lesson plan in the classroom, right? Imagine every one of you, when you were given the same size, you were uncomfortable. You were overwhelmed. Some of you might not be happy about it. You would be feeling left out. You feel of the place, right? That what am I wearing? Now, can you relate this to your lesson plans in the classroom? The same happens with our students, right? So, as the clothing doesn't the same clothing doesn't fit everyone, so is our lesson plan. How can the same lesson plan be applicable for each and every child? And now coming to bringing it this concept of differentiation in our classroom through this clothing, let's look at a question. I want to pose give you one question, because we all are mathematicians, and so I would like to ask you a question. So if there are 5 people in a room, okay, and they handshake with each other, then total, how many handshakes will be there? Okay, I've already got an answer, but I want others also to answer. Yes. Okay. Let's give it some time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are many answers that are coming in, but then I will not tell you the right answer immediately. I would also now like to know, how did you get the answer that you are writing right now? What method did you use? Can you please put that also in the chat box? What method did you use while you got this answer? Okay, permutation, combination. Okay, one was permutation, one was combination. Can there be some other logic also? Did some of you also try to do a factorial way? Okay, bang on. There can be also a way where some of us might have drawn it and seen, okay, itne log hain, to itne handshake hoga, to how things will happen. That might also happen, right? So yes, there can be different ways when a problem is thrown to you to solve it, right? Now let us look at from the student's point of view. Now I want you all to, so the right answer is 10. Okay, there'll be 10 handshake. If you have given the answer as 10, give yourself a pat, and let's go ahead. So now let's see a question if we give to a grade 3 child. Okay, so let's read the question first for you. Radhika has 3 big windows that needs cleaning in her living room. Each window is made up of 3 rows of 4 pans of glass. How many pans of glass needs to be cleaned? Now, what different ways could students respond to this problem? Think as a teacher of a grade 3 maths teacher. What can be the different ways in which the child can give response to this? You can put your answers in the chat box. Addition, okay. What other way the child can respond to this? Multiplication, okay. Addition, multiplication, okay. Some of you are solving and giving me the answer. Yes, so let's just quickly, yes. So there can be, if we look at the child in our classroom and see how this child will reply. So I have some of you who were waiting for me to give you more instructions and more guidance, like many of you didn't respond. So there can be a child like Mariam who was waiting for me to give the responses. Or there can be a child like Krish who draws one window and then he starts counting the apart in that how many apart in an apartment and then counts the pans. Then there can be Rohan, who draws a picture again, and but just the picture of a window and not the pan. There can be then a child like Duel who starts doing the addition, 4 plus 4 plus 4. And then there can be Ananya who does a little faster work, who does 12 plus 12 plus 12. There can be Pooja who does a little multiplication, like, adds 3 into 4 is 12, and then 12 plus 12. So you as a teacher, if you have a students like this in your classrooms who are at different level of their understanding, how will you perceive this information? How will you perceive this information? Can you please put it in the chat box? Let's make it interactive, because if I'm just speaking, it will not make sense to you, right? If you have students who have given these information or these answers, what you as a teacher need to do? Yes. All right. Let me make it simple. So as a teacher, when I'm seeing this, right, I have to see that, okay, Mariam, when her response was, she was waiting, that means she needs to be more independent. I, as a teacher, have to make this child more independent, right? Now there was Krish and there was Rohan who were, drawing the windows and then solving. There's nothing wrong in their understanding to solve that problem. Maybe that child is more kinesthetic in nature, but is that developmentally okay? We have to then take that child from that level. Maybe Doyle, who is thinking of us, making it more simpler, using plus, plus, plus in between, and then trying to sell. Is the way that they solve the problem wrong? No. But where they are starting, the starting points are all are different. And if I look at Pooja's reply, I feel, oh, Pooja is all bang on. She's ready to take up the charge of understanding this particular situation. So as a teacher, it is very, very important for us to first and foremost, before we even enter the class, think how will the children, what kind of responses will come from the students? Because if you know what kind of responses are going to come from the students, you are mentally prepared for it and you have an answer to what the children are doing. We have to start right where those children are, right? So as teachers, this is what is differentiations, right? The differentiation is the process when we are accommodating all the learning in the best possible way, ensuring that every child is participative in our classroom. Yes, and is what is exactly needed, right? And yes, there can be encouragement, of course, that can happen through the lesson that we are doing, right? So this is what we are going to talk about. We need to also understand that there are so many misconceptions about differentiation, which I see when when I go for trainings and when I meet teachers. Most of the time teachers say, ma'am, differentiation matlab itne sare lesson plan banane padenge, we need to make so many lesson plans. No, that's not the truth. Actually, you don't have to make different lesson plans, but you need to accommodate the needs of your learners. The needs, that is, should be the psychology behind it, right? The philosophy behind it, that, okay, there can be common needs which everyone needs to be same. There can be distinct needs, which are some people are similar. There can be individual needs where everyone is different and unique. If we have these three needs in our mind for our students, we can make a lot of difference in what we are doing in our classroom, in our teaching, right? So when we come to differentiation, I think Carol and Tomlinson is someone we need to always refer, and so am I. So she has very beautifully given this model of differentiation, which talks about a proactive approach from the perspective of a teacher. That a teacher uh, needs to be a little more proactive. She first needs to think what the children will learn in the class. So she needs to look at the content. She needs to look at the process. She needs to look at the product and the learning environment. So when I say content, it means what, as I said, what the children will learn. Okay. When I say process, how the child is going to learn it. And the product, what should be the outcome of that, what you're teaching of that particular topic, right? And in, of course, on the run, you will have to take care of your tools, your classroom management, your routines that are there. That makes your learning environment that you set. Maybe even also the seating arrangement, but because seating arrangements are mostly permanent in the classroom, it will revolve around the culture you have established in your class. So if you put all these things together, that gives you a positive approach when you start thinking about differentiation. And moving from here, if I would like to ask, if I'm telling you, okay, now you need to do differentiation in your classroom in terms of content, process, product, and learning environment, what do you think will be the most challenging for you to implement? Is it the content, process, or product? I want your answers in the chat box. Which part you find most challenging to differentiate and why? Let me hear from you. Content, okay. I am so happy that at least you all know exactly what you are trying to do differentiation, because we being the teacher, even like when I asked you the question, how many handshake, without even knowing there was differentiation happening. Everyone is approaching the same situation in a different way, right? So at least you are able to identify how are you going, which area you will find it difficult. Okay. Now let's see how I can help you in today's session to ease on these processes. So when I said that, these are the different areas and we need to now proceed. So what should be our first step after we have decided, okay, which area I am doing the differentiation, content, process, product, or the learning environment? Then the next state that I will do is I am going to understand the pattern in my students, their readiness, what is their, skill level. Like, for example, we took that example of the window pan. So every child is at a different skill level. So we need to understand how much proximity or how much scaffolding each child will require in one particular process. And so when we are implementing or when we are teaching, we are mindful about how are we going to implement that. Second is also interest level. What generates that curiosity? What motivates my students in the classroom is something really that is going to help you to build up on your content or your process or your product. And the last is the sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah. The last is the learning profile. That is the methods of learning, how the learners can think. Some might be very comfortable using manipulative. Some wants to just directly start solving it in the paper, right? So you need to know the background of the child, how intellectually the child is connected. So these are the three basic base which you as a teacher need to know before you start doing the differentiation in your classroom. Now, there are different methods to find out the readiness, interest, and learner's profile, that through pre-assessments or other stuff, which I'm not going into detail right now because otherwise then I won't be able to finish it on time. But yes, if in case you want to reach out to me and find out more about that, I'm always available. Also, now when I say I have decided upon, I've found out about my students, that is know your students through the different patterns that I've had. I also identified what I want to differentiate. Next is what instruction strategies do I include in my lesson plans so that I can do the differentiation. So for content, there are basically few strategies I'm going to discuss over here. Some of them, you can also Google them out. So KUD method, tiered instructions, compacting, scaffolding. So KUD and tiered instructions, I'm going to take you in the coming slides. I'm going to take you through it. Compacting is wherever the child is, whatever level the child is, you give him a level up content. And scaffolding, we all very well understand that individually you need to help the child move from one level to the other level. Now, for all of them, do you think you need the readiness? Yes. For KUD method, do you need to know the interest of the child? Yes. Do you also need to know the learner's profile? Yes. For KUD method, when you're implementing, yes. But for others, You just need to know the readiness. So you also need to know when you are deciding on your instructional strategy that what is the readiness, interest, and learner's profile. Then only you can take up a call on your method. Not that ki at random, अच्छा मुझे ये बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, let me pick up this method. No, it should not be fancy. It should be your user friendly, and your user are your students, right? Then this, if I go on for process that I want to do and differentiation in my instructional strategy, there are basically a 4 instructional strategy that I've listed out over here: cubing, led curriculum, graphic organizer, and jigsaw activity. Again, these are all based on readiness, interest, and learner's profile. So basically, it also addresses the different kind of modality that the child is. Like, some children are visually, they understand, some children understand through auditory, some are kinesthetic. So your decision will also based on the kind of the learner the child is. The different multiple intelligence also come into picture when you are thinking about the process, right? So the best process, when we will be dealing with some of them in the coming slides. I'm just right now listing down that what you can do. And also when it comes to product, so we can decide what and how the child is going to show his learning. Okay, that's how we are going to, if a child has learned something, we give the child option. Okay, okay, you've learned so and so thing. Now you decide how do you want to submit your assignment or which problem you want to solve. So if you think that this is going to be difficult, then AI is there to help you out, right? So it's not difficult anymore to think on these parameters, but I'm sure it is going to help you. But for all the product, that is how the child is going to show the learning, you will require again the readiness, interest, and the learner's profile. Now, when I have thought about my what I am differentiating, I've thought about also my learner's profile. I've also decided on my strategy. These should be backed by your learning goals. That is, what is the learning goal of your class? What is your pre-assessment or the formative assessment you have taken for the children? And the interest survey that you have done. So you have to have backing for all these things. You just cannot randomly presume that, okay, this is how my children are. No, you have to have some data with you, right? And then you also need to understand what kind of groups you form. Group can be TAPS. I'll just give you the full form: total, alone, partners, or small groups, right? So that's the grouping strategy. Do you have the arrangement for flexible routines, the management techniques? These you need to implement while you are doing these strategies. So you have to keep this in mind before you even start doing your differentiation in the class. And of course, one very important thing, a growth mindset. You need to have the growth mindset. My bachas will crack it. My children will be able to do it. And I am going to make maths relevant. I will not make it more fun. I'll make more creative. And my children will not be scared of solving the maths problems once they're dealing with it. So that should be your base. And that's how we need to look at differentiation, right? Now, let's look at the techniques. So before we begin any unit, you need to decide what you want your students to do. So that's called as KUD. Okay. So when I say KUD, it is knowledge, understanding, and do. Okay. So what knowledge you want to give to your students? The facts, the vocabulary, the definition, or maybe the information. So example, multiplication table, you want the children to learn the multiplication table, or you want them to understand the concept of multiplication. So that's something you need to decide, right? What the children need to know. And even not you. Who will be who will be the deciding factor? The children, right? Which level they are. That will be the deciding factor for this, right? Then comes the next part, understanding. What are the truths, the principles, or the big ideas and the discipline you want the children to know? So if you, for example, I want the students to understand that multiplication is another way of addition. So that's what I want to perceive, and that then my lesson plan will change accordingly, right? Then it will not be like 4 into 3 is equal to 12. You will then plus show 4 plus flow is equal to 12, and then you're going to proceed, right? Then the last one, the D, the do, that is how, what skills you want the child to demonstrate. Okay, basic thinking or basic skills, or the thinking skills, or the planning skills, what verbs you will be using. So don't you think even our NCF has these in the these elements kept that take the children from where they are to the next level of learning? Don't make it theoretical, make it learner centric. So unless we don't have the learner centric mindset, we cannot proceed with differentiation. And that's the need of the hour, to have the learners in the center, think where they are, and then proceed. So keeping this in mind and following the elements that differentiate each of these processes, we will have to then proceed with the next part of it. Now, I'll just give you a quick example. Like, for example, if I want to KUD for a grade 6th maths, okay? Now, the students will know what? Fraction, decimal, percentage, part of it, whole of it. So, what you want them to know? What you want your students to understand? Maybe that a given amount can be named as fraction, decimal, or a percentage. You want them to understand that the names can change, the value and the amounts remains the same. You want the students to convert a given number or a value into a fraction or a decimal form or a percentage form. So who is the deciding person? You are the deciding person. Whatever it is in maths, it is very, very important that you keep the focus on the key concept. Okay, now because we're talking about grade 6, let's look at the multiplication of 1.5 into 3. It's a decimal multiplied by a whole number. What do you think is the key concept over here? I want you all to please put your answer in the chat box. What do you think is the key concept over here? 1.5 multiplied by 3. What is the key concept? I am looking for the concept, not the answer. What? Whole number, decimal multiplication, multiplication. Bang on, Cheryl. You are absolutely right. So this over here, if a child doesn't know multiplication, the child will not be able to do the decimal multiplication. So the base over here as a teacher, the key strategy lies is to understanding the bigger idea. Over here, the bigger idea is multiplication. We will not, so if a child knows multiplication, rest are procedural. Rest are procedural skill. But the base key idea is multiplication. Of course, multiplication rests on addition and things like that. But yes, and then to know do multiplication, you need to do the table. So as teachers, you need to prioritize, but it is grade 6. Already the children should know tables. So here the key concept or the key idea or is multiplication. So we need to understand that our focus is on a key concept or a key idea, right? Now, if I move further, okay, taking this, keeping this in mind that, okay, I have decided that this my children will do, know, understand and do, and have also understood my key concept. Then comes the tired instruction. That is the fun. This is that, all students learn the same fundamental, okay, concept, but through varying modes, right? So the TED instruction is our ability, okay, our ability to teach the students at their ability level. So it is our ability to teach the students at their ability level. So a teacher can make a task interesting, engaging, and challenging regardless of what the level the child is in. You don't have to change your main lesson plan. It is only that you need to understand that after you have taught certain thing, how are you going to move it or give different kind of work to different people. So that is why I say low floor, high ceiling. So low floor, when I say low floor, means that the starting point or the base point, catch the child where the child is. And there's an equal opportunity that you are giving to the students to start at. Then, based on their abilities, we are taking them up to the high ceiling. So, tiered instruction is starting low from the floor, moving to high ceiling is the base of your tiered instruction, right? And then while we are doing this, we can do the tearing by maybe giving a more challenging, different challenging levels to different students, maybe through the Bloom's taxonomy, knowledge based understanding, the change the difficulty level for each different child. Maybe the context, maybe the resource, the level, the technology that we are using, or the process. Everything can be taught, but the starting will be the same. But how you're going to move forward, how much difficulty you're going to keep putting in is what will change as you move up the lesson. So if you, it's very important for us to understand one important thing, that how activities and assignments can be adjusted. It can be through the level of complexity, the pacing of the assignment. Some of you give some more time to the students. Some of them you can give, okay, I'm giving you only 5 minutes. For others, you can say, okay, I give you 15 minutes to complete. The amount of structure you give, maybe the support, the instructions that you're giving to the students, the same problem, but more instructions to the students given can happen. That is also tearing. So it's not difficult. It's just the willingness to do it, going that extra mile, right? And also maybe the number of steps you require to solve. For some of the students, it might happen like this. In one single step, the answer to solve. Some of them might need to have different steps and then arrive to a solution. Like you remember the window pan that we did the question. Yes. So it is how we are moving and what kind of material are we providing to the students, right? And in form of expression or the level of independence we are giving to the children. Now let's take an example of a tiered instruction for 3 different levels. Okay, the foundation level where we want everyone to know the same thing. Okay, it can be like solve systems using graphing with clear step-by-step instruction, and we give support to the students. Okay, if this is for maybe a grade 8 students, the graphing linear equations. And when we look at the lower grades, okay, so if you see over here, at the lower grade, you are teaching place values to the children. For them to understand, you are giving them something more concrete. You're giving manipulatives to them to solve. Here to the children, you give graphs for them to understand the graphing or the system, how it has to happen, right? We move to level 2, where you want the children already have understood this. Then you move to a little more where you have a reference sheets giving, you have problems and hints given, substitution methods and can be implemented over here. Elimination methods can be also taken care. So as you are moving the difficulty level for the children. Yes, but there is something, a base which every child needs to know. This is minimum what my children need to know in this particular grade. And then as they advance, then you start giving them real problems, making it more complicated. And okay, that's how this equation happened. And even if you look at your curriculums are also put across in the same way, starting from easy, moving to complex. So where and how much you want the children to solve is what you need to first decide. Okay. Now, in the same manner, sometimes in the maths class, teachers usually come and ask that, ma'am, the same problem we are in CBSE schools, and we have to give the same kind of problem. Exam sabke liye alag thodi aayega. Everyone has to give the same paper. Then how do we go about it? Valid question, valid point, right? So there, for maths, it's very important to use this concept of open and parallel task. Okay. Now, what is this open and parallel task? So let's look at the first, what is open task? So sometimes children find it very difficult to imagine big numbers. Okay, I'm again taking grade 3 because it's easy to relate with grade 3, and then we can put in practice how we are doing it till grade 8, because this particular session is for grade 1 to 8 teachers. So now if I look at grade 3, okay, where I say, given a one question, there are 316 animal books in the library. 118 of the books are about dogs. The rest are about other animals. How many books are there about other animals? Okay. I hope some of you have given me the answer in the chat box already. Yes. So it can be like, this is a little difficult level. And how can we add or show the correct answer? Okay. Now, I want to give the same kind of question, but to the students who are not able to understand the problem. So what I can do is I just remove the number 360. I can put a smaller number over here, maybe say 10 or 12, so that the child understands the concept. So there are, say, 15 animal books in the library. Most of the books are about dogs. The rest are about other animals. How many books are there about other animals? Now, do you think with the number going down, and I have not given about this number 118, do you think it will be easy or difficult? I want your answer in the chat box. Yes. So when you reduce, so we as teachers have to understand how we can make it simpler for the students, right? Now let's move to the parallel task. Now that we understood the open task, let's move to the parallel task again, because now we are, as I said, CBSE schools, most of us, or the boards exams are common exams. So when we move to parallel task, decide a key concept. Again, first thing, decision lena to hame hi padega as teachers, right? So decide on the key concept you're learning and create two similar parallel tasks that focuses on the same key concept, yet address the students at different level. So say task one. So task one is, there are 583 students in Annie's school in morning, and 99 of the grade 3 students left for field trip. How many students are left in the school? This is one task for grade 3. Numbers are complicated right now. There are two steps given over here. More information is there. There's a second task, parallel task. There are 61 grade 3 students in ME school. 19 of them are in library. How many grade 3 students are left in the classroom? Now again, difficulty level, question kind is same, but difficulty level is different, right? So we need to decide what and how we need to, put the question forth to the students. It's not difficult. It's just little efforts that we need, right? But remember, that little effort that you will take today, the children will always be, so grateful to you, because they have understood what you meant to teach them. नहीं तो वो क्लास में पढ़ाए क्या जब बच्चों को समझ ही नहीं आया, right? Let's move forward. So now let's take one more example. So I like this Dan May's 3-act maths task. Okay, so this is something, if you have not heard, you can Google it. Dan May's 3-act maths task. So basically, we want that learning should be relevant to the children. Maybe I give a task to the children and divide that task in 3 levels. So over here, if you see over here, I have asked 4 children to come to the board, and I have asked them to draw triangle. These are the 4 students of my class, okay? And 4, not triangle. I've asked them to draw 3 dots at different places. I give them a place. In this, you draw 3 dots. Now, they can place the dot anyhow they want, right? And then I tell my students in the class, who do you think did the best job of drawing equilateral triangle? After the children are gone, I draw the triangle and then I say, okay, tell me which children do you think did the best thing in drawing the triangle. Rank each person and explain your ranking. You are making learning stick to the child. The child will remember, oh, acha, so here the triangle can be in different places. What do I need for equilateral triangle? What if it has to be equilateral triangle, then most of the angles should be similar or equal in number. So it becomes like a game in my classroom. The children are no more scared of how I'm teaching, right? And then in the act two, this is what I want every child to do. In my act two, I tell the students that what information is important, what information doesn't matter. Like from the below, the angles, the sides of the angles, the area of the angle, the coordinate where the angle is placed. Out of this, which information doesn't matter to you and which information you really need, right? And then come up with a formula that they can use this information that matters them the most. And then let them test the formula. How does it work with large or the small classes? And for the last group, my high ceilers, ceiling students who are on my high ceilings, I ask them to come up with rules that can tell me how do they attempt drawing equilateral triangle based on the ranking against any other. So I have given different, group of students the same thing, right? But there's something which I want everyone to do and then move gradually, right? So do search for this Dan Mess React, the list of activities, especially from grade 6 to grade 12 that you can pick up from there. They are wonderful, right? Okay, let me just move forward. So now come to my product. So that was about how I am putting my content to the children, right? How I am showing the content to the student. I now move to the process part of it. So process, I love station rotations. Okay, so this is something which I have been also myself a teacher. I started my career as a teacher 23 years back, and maths is my base subject. So when I go to the classrooms, I really like to explore and do things differently. So this was something recently, say, I think 8 years back that I started doing this in my classrooms. I'll just explain you what we do. So basically, first let me tell you what is station rotation. So we mix up your learning routine in such a manner that every child can go and learn from what they like the best. So we can have a station of an hand-on activity. We can have some digital tool that we incorporate. We can have a problem solving task. So there are different station for different things. And then we allow the children to move between these stations. So if they have done with one station, they can move to the other station. That can also be allowed. So I would like to show you so I did this for average speed, right? In grade 7. So I have done an organize it, explore it, and crack it station. Okay, so this was for grade 7 average speed. So what I did was I divided the students again based on I have to do the grouping based on their understanding levels, right? And then I made an organized station wherein the children have to, this was the organizing, I created different strips and the formula of the speed. I had given them, they have studied the formula of speed, what is the unit, what is the instrument. They had to create this particular graph that, okay, what is the symbol for speed, average speed, for distance, for time. If it is a triangle representation, how it will be, what will be the formula. So this was one table on which I've kept all these things. And see, if you see my class, my class was not that I've cluttered it too much. It was the way it is, right? And then we moved on to the next level wherein on the floor, I have drawn one ribbon. And then I gave one stopwatch to one of the child. And that was the another group that they were doing this activity. The children were hopping and on this strip, and the other child was noting the time. Then there was a child who was jumping and coming, and the distance was fixed. I fixed the distance, which was for 5 meters. So the distance was fixed. The children were doing different activities like running, hopping, jumping, and the other child children were writing the timing when this was happening. So they were exploring that in the classroom itself, can they find out the average speed? So you need to have the learning sticking to the students so that they remember, okay, this is how we calculate. There was also one, so on my digiboard, I had played the video of the, if you see the digiboard over there. So I had played the video of which tells how do you calculate the speed in a much fun manner. There were children who will not understand without solving. So I gave them a cracket sheet. In this cracket sheet also, if you see, they're very colorful. Some of them had extra steps of information that were there who were not able to solve these sheets. Some of them were more direct and more difficult questions that were being put. But yes, everyone was doing it, right? So it is up to us that in the same lesson, how do we differentiate the same thing in the classroom, how the children will learn, right? Now, I just move further. This was about the product, how you can do your differentiation in product. Now, when it comes to learning, okay, learning outcome. That's a product. We completed the process. Now coming to the product, then how the child will show the learning. Okay, so in that way, am I done? Am I exceeding the time, Tanisha?
It's 46.
All right, just 5 more minutes. So,
Yeah,
so
no.
when so I'm already on product. So when we are doing the product, we can give different choices to the children to show how they will be, showing what they've learned. Like for example, it's a geometry choice box for. So we write an angle letter. Write a letter to a friend explaining how to identify the three different types of angles. Do you think this is NCF? Yes. You are mixing two subjects, letter writing and maths, right? Flag a design. Every country has a different flag. Look at some of the examples in the flag. Use at least 6 different shapes to create a design for the flag of your school. So like this, I'm not reading it now since we have short of time. So you can give different way the children will show their learning, different kind of assignment. But yes, again, if you feel this is difficult, yes, it might have been challenging if you were not very creative. But now you are living in AI world. Chat GPT को instruction देना है, ये topic है, and Chat GPT boom will give you the answers, right? So if you are interested to learn more about AI in educations, and I'm here to help you out on that as well. So this is one other layout of how do we. Yes, then again, there are a lot of technological tools available, like you have demos. I'm sure most of you are using these. Do try to incorporate them in your classrooms. So achieving the NCF goal is impossible if you are not doing differentiation. Differentiation is the key, right? You need to have problem solving. You need to give the children all the critical thinking, creativity, adaptability. You also need to be adaptable with the students and have those 21st century skills incorporated in you, right? So now if I look at this is something taken directly from NCF. If you see the suggestive method even given by NCF is that in the preparatory level, you need to have play, for preparatory level, if you see the tick marks given, so they say you need to have playway, discovery, inquiry, problem solving, inductive, and deductive method, right? So these are there in the preparatory stage. Then in the middle stage, again, same, all methods are used, but there's, yes, how often you have to use is something that is being defined by the number of tick marks that there. But they are not saying that in secondary also you can have a playway method. Some of the teachers say, "Arey, ye to bachcho wale classes ke liye hai." This doesn't happen in grade 6, 7, 8, or doesn't happen in high school. Sorry, it does happen in every class, in every standard. Is how we implement it. That's more important, right? And last, as facilitator, it's our job to create, crafted experience for the students. We should not teach maths in solos. We need the learners to solve the problem in collaboration and enjoy with confidence the low floor or the high ceiling, right? They need to be addressed. They need to notice and they need to wonder what is same and what is different, right? I wanted to show you one video which I have seen of Kiran ma'am's. I am sure most of you have heard about Kiran Veer Sethi ma'am's school in Ahmedabad, which they have shown how maths. This is great. So I'll just pause a minute. So sometimes what happens is some of the topics, like example 11th and 12th. However, I'm sure many of the teachers are not here from 11th and 12th. But you know that some of the topics it's very difficult to give experience to the students, right? Now, in such cases, it is very, very important that the learning has to stick. So how do you make the learning stick? Give them logics, give them give them some experience so that the learning is sticking to them, right? That's very important. So I want you to observe this, hear this video out. Just a minute.
Ma'am, I don't think so. The video is playing. We are unable to see.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me reshare.
Okay.
Okay, start again. Okay.
The purpose of the Oil Tanker Math Challenge was to provide students with an interdisciplinary approach of what is essentially a math problem or math word problem. We created 3 fictitious news articles in which an oil tanker has run aground with its location being specified, with its tank being specified. So it's a great opportunity for students to blend the domains of the different subjects together. So it's a great way to revitalize the math word problem into something much larger.
It is not like what we do in class, where we are given a question and we're given all the variables, all the equations. We just have to put in the values and solve it. Over here, we were given a situation which had a lot of things involved in it. Math part specifically was very, very important in this case because every other domain like the geopolitical or the biological effects will be based on the results of the maths. If the math is accurate, the others will be accurate.
The time at which the weight will be equal to 55,680 tons will be 98.46 hours, which is approximately 4.1 days. So it will mean that on Saturday 21st August 7:10 AM IST, the ship will start to sink.
If you're interested in biology or ecology or geopolitics, you need to have a foundation in math to be able to make all those assumptions of whether or not has the oil spilled to a different country, has it gone to different territorial waters. In real life, practically, you don't know what information to take and what information is redundant. In a word problem, almost all the information that you have in that question is important information.
This challenge was a very hands-on experience. It was just like Sherlock Holmes. We had only some clues, some bits of information, but we had to extract from that. We had to pull out things and make connections between domains and try to find a solution to a problem. If we solve questions either today or tomorrow, we will forget about it. But if we do something like this, it will stay in our mind forever.
I hope you all agree with this, that it is totally the experience the children will carry and how they are going to implement. And we as educators need to put this across pretty well, right? In the last, I would just like to just reshare my screen and just a minute. Yeah. I would like to show you the template of how you are going to do so when you are doing the differentiation, how you are going to do. So you need to know the learner, assess the learner, know the learners, assess the learner, adjust your assignment and your instruction strategy, and then comes the curriculum approach that you will have. And the last one is the 6th step that we have discussed. This is a template that I am sharing over here, which talks about what is the course standard, what is the content, what activities you will do, how will you acquire it. With this list given over here, you can take a screenshot if you want. the group discussions that will happen, the summative assessment you will take. So if you see there's a list given in front of it, how you can do it. So that's how when it comes to action in class, this is how it is going to happen. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm open to questions.
Participants, the floor is yours. Please post your questions in the chat box so that we can take up. If you have any questions, quickly post them in the chat box. Ma'am, there's one question. Where can I find such ship questions?
Okay, so these questions actually, so now the best go-to person is your chat GPT. You think of a situation, okay, what you want to create, okay, and go to chat GPT, the big bro, and tell him this is what you want, and you will get your answers and solution in no minute. Okay, of course, there can be different ways you are creative enough to do it, but yes, if you are not, you have somebody to go to and find an answer.
Okay, there's one more question, but before that, participants, this session is live on YouTube, so you can rewatch it if you are unable to pay attention as of now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, there's one more question: How to overcome math fear of a child?
Yeah. So before I answer that question, I am putting this session's feedback link in the chat box. I request all the participants to please fill in. I think, can I do that? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm putting a feedback link in the chat box. Please put your feedback for today's session. In the meanwhile, I'm answering all the question. It will save time. So yes, so we were talking, how do we remove the fear of maths? First is the fear of maths is us who create the fear of maths. As teachers, oh, this is difficult. How will you get it? If we make that fun, if we make that learning fun in the class, and if we don't, make mountain of out of mole on the mistakes the students make, child will never have the fear. I think if you as maths teacher would say the children have fear for maths, then imagine what will happen. We as children, teachers have to say this maths is the most easiest and the most fun way to learn, right? So the answer lies in your question itself.
Ma'am, there's one more. Please
Yeah.
tell me how to make the students understand differentiation easily. They find it difficult to apply.
Differentiation easily. Okay, so now when we are doing the differentiation in the classroom, as I said, which you have to divide your students now, since this particular session is on differentiation, you need to divide your students in group. Okay, you will start with what is the basic thing that you want your children to do in differentiation. Then you move them from one level to another. Don't start thinking in differentiate the kind of problem I have shown to you on differentiation or on calculus. The same you can apply in the classroom immediately. First, you need to make them understand from the basic thing, right? And then move it gradually, step by step.
Okay, ma'am, there's one more. Where can we find math logical reasoning questions for class 6th?
I think I will also have to do a little bit of my research, and I think then I can help you out. You can definitely send me your request. I am also there on LinkedIn. I think on the S-Chan group, my information is there. You can connect me through LinkedIn. I will help you out.
Okay, ma'am, let's take one more question. Like, I make my learning so funny. Still, few students have a strong mindset that maths is totally tough subject.
I think, yes, I do understand that. As I said, that you are making it easy. Children say it is tough. Now, again, it's not only the mindset of the teacher, it is also the mindset of the parents, how they are forcing it, right? So you might be doing it very wonderfully, but what the teachers have done in the previous classes is carried forward in this classes also, right? So that is also some very important thing. Gradually, you will be able to remove that fear. Just be motivating to the students. That's the only thing I can say. Motivate the children, inspire them to do more. And whatever they give, whatever answer they give, never say that this is wrong. Everything is right, but the way of looking at the answer might be a little different, right? You can just ask what's the logic that you use. So the more questions you ask to the children on how it is, how you well you are connected, you are the one who will remove it. So I'll give you my example. I was a very weak student in math till grade 7. Okay, I will tell you, I failed in maths till grade 7 because there was no wonderful teacher I had. But then in grade 8, I got a teacher, Mrs. Harriford. I would like to record her name over here. She's right now in Australia. And the way she taught us maths in the class, I tell you, from that day onwards, I took maths as my major subject just because of her. Because she removed my fear. She did not ever said maths is easy. She never said that. She just encouraged us to do more sums. She taught us in a way that we would understand better. So it is totally depends on how you click with the child, right? That the fear will go away.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for this amazing session on differentiated instruction. You have brilliantly highlighted several key takeaways, such as assessing readiness, techniques to evaluate each student's mathematical understanding, identifying interests, methods to incorporate students' interests and learning styles, and many more. And also, thank you so much to all the participants for joining us today. We hope you found the session both informative and inspiring. And just a quick reminder for all, we'll have a next session, assessment and feedback in mathematics, which will start at 4 p.m. today. And we look forward to seeing you there. And participants, please stay tuned for more sessions, which are packed with insightful discussions on various aspects of mathematics. And also, we'll be having an
I
exciting
would,
quiz tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
no, I'm so sorry. I just said I just a reminder. I thought you're done. Just a reminder to fill in the feedback for me.
Yeah, participants, ma'am has already shared the link with you. Please do share the feedback with her. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being there. We'll see you at 4. And don't miss out the quiz tomorrow. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful
Thank you.
session.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.